The Spot, Dick and Jane. I'm going to talk about Dick and Jane in a minute. Fluffy. Fluffy's up the tree. That's Spot. Puff. Well, there you go.
Don't correct the minister.
So, actually, I'm going to ask my friend, the first grade teacher, Jan, Sally.
Yes.
Thank you, thank you. Well, you know, this is so perfect because you know what our topic is? Letting go of being cool and always in control. How many ministers stand up at the platform to start their talk and everybody else is talking but the minister? Go figure. Go figure. So we're having a lighthearted day, this idea of cultivating song and dance and laughter. We started our day out with laughter when our first image of David and Marilyn showed up, and we hope to continue that as we move forward. This idea, you see, I have kind of a problem because I really am attached to being cool and always in control. So this is going to stretch me, this talk, a little bit. So it's a good thing. So I picked this song, Feeling Groovy, slow down, moving too fast, got too much going on, and look for some fun in life. This idea that we've got to set the intention and recognize the possibilities, you see. And really it's a perfect support for our monthly topic because our monthly topic is all about wholehearted living from the heart with full passion, fully engaged in our life experience, no matter what. And that's the tough part. It's the no matter what part that gets hard. And so sometimes when we're ready to step into that wholehearted living, we got to let go of stuff that's getting in the way. And so today we're talking about letting go of some of those things. And these are big things for me, this need to look cool and to be in control. And so I like this idea that we're starting with the idea of slowing down. Because one of our authors that we're working with this month says the modern pedal to the metal lifestyle that we're living sometimes robs us of our capacity and the perception, the capacity to feel and the perception of the joy that's all around us. Because we're so busy, we're so caught up in whatever that pedal to the metal lifestyle is all about, that we forget who we are and we forget why we're here. We forget our holy sacred purpose. And so I like this idea that we're invited to step into a new way of being present with all of these things, to reclaim our brilliance, to lighten up. We spend a lot of time talking about light in our kinds of communities, about the radiance and about the brilliance and about the halos, right? Well, this is an invitation to lighten up, take life a little bit easier, feeling groovy, so to speak. This light-hearted approach to life that makes it a little bit easier, that helps us love the life we're living. And I know it's true for me, and it's probably true for you. Sometimes we don't really love the life we're living. Is that the truth? It gets icky. It gets icky. It gets hard. And so this entire talk is about cultivating the capacity to remember the truth of who we are, the light of the divine, the spark of divinity, and to make room for God within that, to let go of all the stuff that gets in the way and make a space for the divine in our experience. Because if we truly believe what we teach, that we're all a spark of that divine, the quality of the divine includes laughter and joy and delight and awe and wonder. It includes all of that. Deepak Chopra, I love his book, Why is God Laughing? Deepak Chopra says, the healthiest response to life is laughter. The healthiest response to life is laughter. And I think that's so important. He says, when we feel happiness or we burst out laughing or smile for no apparent reason, we're very close to glimpsing the divine. We get ourselves out of the way, we make room for the divine. He says, and there's no better way to acknowledge that you're growing in God realization than when moments of joy begin to knit themselves together in your life, and you know it, you recognize it, you see it, you feel it, you live it. That, it's not how many books you read, it's not how many mountaintops you sit on, it's not how many pilgrimages you take, it's how much joy you're able to cultivate in your life. And I love the invitation that our author tells us about, the invitation that when we sing, when we laugh, when we have the capacity to dance or to step into the full passion of life, we step into that, I love this, what's happening in me right now moment. So when we're singing, when we're dancing, when we're laughing, it's a full body experience, isn't it? We're engaged 100%. And it's all about the present moment. What's happening in me right now? That's what this is all about. That's what this is all about. The spontaneity, that waking up, the spontaneity and the freedom to just be who we really are without all the stuff that gets in the way, you see? To open up to whatever the funny stuff is in the moment. To open up to being silly. Ooh, that's hard for me. To open up to it. Because there's a lot of stuff that gets in the way. Don't we all have stories? Aren't we all dragging around our histories? Our experiences, our baggage? And it's hard to stay in the moment. So the prescription, really, for this kind of life is, the magic potion. Break into song, break into dance, be that grandma. When your granddaughter comes to pick you up, dance all the way to the car, and then say, put it on again. Put it on again. Enjoy yourself. Laugh, sing, dance. No matter what's going on. Find a way to step into that energy of lightheartedness within whatever the difficulty is. And when we do that, we move into an immediacy with life, beyond whatever's going on. It's not always easy. I'm not saying it's easy. It's a practice, because when we're in sorrow, when we're in fear, when we're in anger, when we're in drama of some sort or other, it's very hard to step into the harmony and the rhythm of life, into that full-bodied experience, that immediacy with life. Because there's stuff in the way. There's stuff in the way. But when we can do that, it helps us make it through whatever that stuff is. To make it through that difficult stuff in life. Scientifically, when we can do this, when we can open to that energy that allows us to delight in life, guess what? It triggers responses in our body that give us a sense of calm, that brings some sort of soothing to our nervous systems when we have the capacity to be lighthearted, to laugh, to sing, to dance, to experience joy, gratitude, those kinds of experiences. It scientifically improves our state of well-being. It allows us to be more wholehearted. I like this. It quiets down the fight or flight response to our life experience. It quiets it down. It becomes the balm. It becomes a different response to our stress, whatever that looks like. It lifts our mood. So, do you feel a little bit lighter having experienced the first half hour of Common Ground this morning than you did when you came in, no matter what's going on? The opportunity to shift a little bit. To shift a little bit. You had no idea that you were going to laugh the minute that the image came up in our opening, right after our opening song. That spontaneity of being able to embrace whatever that immediate experience is, you see. To brighten your outlook a little bit. To brighten things up a little bit. That's what we're here to do. Just a simple movement of smiling changes your outlook. Scientifically, they do studies where people who are depressed and feeling down in the world go around with a pencil. Oh, here, a pencil. It creates the smile response artificially, and guess what? It makes us feel better. Try it. If you're feeling crummy, go home and find a pencil and smile. Smile a little bit. Science says feel-good stuff gets released when we do that. Feel-good stuff gets going. And so when my mom always says, so what are you talking about this week? And I always tell her. And so I said, well, we're going to talk about cultivating laughter, song, and dance, and letting go of being cool and always in control. And she says, so apparently you're going to be giving one of those talks where it's do as I say and not as I do. So that's the starting point here. And I got to tell you, when we were looking at talk topics for this month and knew that we were going to be working with Brene Brown's book and knew that we were going to focus our talk topics on the guideposts, I actually chose this topic on purpose because I knew that I needed to know this stuff. I knew, you see, there's some scientific evidence that you learn best when you try to teach something. I have nothing to teach you because I don't know any more than you do. But I've worked on this talk, so I'm going to share what I know from this talk, right? But we learn best when we teach one another. When we take the time to try to become proficient in something, and then try to help other people understand it, we actually receive the greatest benefit from that. So I thought, well, yeah, I need to turn over a new leaf. And I chose this because tomorrow is my 67th birthday. And I thought, what better time to cultivate the capacity to drop the need to always be cool. Now, what I want to tell you is, and I thought a lot about this week as I worked with this talk, it isn't about being cool for you. It's not being in control of you. It's all about an internal job. It's all about being cool for me. See, I'm very, very introverted. And it's all about being cool for me because that's a safe place for me to be. Don't want to look too foolish. Don't want to look too silly. And it's about me. It's not about you. Same thing with being in control. I don't want to control you. But I want to control me. I want to control how I show up. Anybody relate to that? Yeah. So what I know is that I think a lot of us want to be in control of ourselves. And I find this really fascinating. We don't want to be vulnerable, right? We don't want to look silly. We don't want to look foolish. We don't want to look out of control. And then I thought about it. I thought, isn't this interesting? Part of my path is 27 years of sobriety. And I'm thinking, oh, good God. Prior to those 27 years, I was completely out of control, completely foolish, completely silly. What was I thinking? What was I thinking? This idea, that was probably my way of numbing, and I didn't know any better. I didn't know any better. But I was thinking, oh, wow, I have this deep need to be in control and look cool, and here I am, shooting flaming eddies and having quite the time. So I've kind of spent the lifetime thinking I'm cool inside myself, right? Thinking I'm in control. And so that's why I picked this image. See, I've spent a lifetime cultivating this image of who I am to myself and want to present to the world. See, don't get ruffled easily, don't get angered easily, don't get upset. Stay very balanced. Don't get confused. I can figure this out. Anybody relating? I can figure this out. Don't, got a problem, come to me. I'll help you. I'm balanced. I can work this all out. And no matter what, I'm in control. It's okay. Well, remember Dick and Jane? I'm Dick. I'm Dick. I've always been Dick. Look at Dick. He's climbing up the tree to save whoever, Puff. My life history, and it has nothing to do with out there. It's my own personal image. I'm Dick. My sisters got to be Sally and Jane, especially one of my sisters, the mud puddle splasher, little rascal, And it seems like we live those patterns. Anybody relate? We live those patterns in our life. I'm ready to give old Dick up. I'm tired of being Dick. I don't want to be Dick anymore. I want to cultivate a new way of being in the world. And it has I don't think it's going to have anything to do with the way I show up on the outside. It's going to have something to do with the way I embrace the internal aspect of who I am. That's what it's going to have something to do with. to let go of this hardened crust of history that says you gotta be in control, you can't be vulnerable. If you're not in control and you're vulnerable, you're not gonna be safe. Anybody relate? Yeah, you're not gonna be safe. To drop the image of needing to be in control of my life. And I love what one of our authors says. You cannot spend a lifetime planning in advance how to avert the next challenge and to protect yourself against the worst case scenarios. Hello. I see a lot of nods. I see a lot of smiles. We can't plan. This is that need to be in control, need to be cool. When the other shoe drops, oh yeah, that shoe, I was expecting that. I was expecting that shoe to drop. You know what I'm talking about. So we've got to look at our habits and our behaviors. Look at those places in ourselves where we want to show up that way for ourselves. Embrace who we are, our divine selves. This is all about remembering the truth of our divinity. It's all about making space for God. It's all about basic trust in the universe to support our journey without our having to be in control of it all the time. That's what this is about. To let go, and this is Brene Brown, to let go of who we think we're supposed to be or have come to think we are. To let go of that image. That, you know what, I love one of our authors, I think it was Deepak Chopra, says, our ego and our unconditional divine self have two different stories to tell. My ego is telling the story of Dick. My unconditioned self is telling a completely different story. It's about my divinity. It's about my capacity to dance and sing and laugh and play and have fun and be full-hearted in the moment. That spontaneity. And it takes courage. It takes a whole lot of courage. It takes practice. It takes letting go. It takes all of this to release that inner splendor that the poets talk about. That inner splendor that is ready to shine itself on everything through this embodiment of our full expression of our joy and our presence and who we really are. And sometimes it shows up as dancing. Sometimes it shows up as spontaneous laughter. Sometimes it shows up as a willingness to sing along with the music or to create our own song. I happen to be a musician. My flute, I don't play it very often anymore, but I love to sing along. To say yes to life. To embrace all of it. Our imperfections, those places where we want to be cool, our vulnerabilities, those places where we're scared to death, to put our guard down because we're afraid we're not going to be safe enough, to claim our power, to be wholehearted in our life experience. And it requires us to just accept who we really are in the moment. And with that comes this freedom of being able to sing and dance and play and run and laugh and be Sally all the time and not be stuck being Dick all the time. I love what Brene Brown says, and this is our invitation. She says, I am convinced that there is a song or a dance and a path to laughter for every single human emotion. That's very important. And then as I close, she says, Brene Brown, we need to hold a space in our lives for laughter, for song, and for dance, because life is way too precious to spend it pretending like we're super cool and totally in control when we could be living from a passionate, heartfelt, and soulful expression of who we really are. Thank you for listening.